Kate Falcha. Welcome to Irish Granny Helen. I just wanted to do a very quick, short little video in honor of somebody whom I have always admired. Now, this is a person that is quite controversial in academic circles, and I've always given him high praise for his fearlessness. I'm talking about Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum, who just died. I was very sad yesterday when I found out he died in September. And I did a little tiny background on him. But you may remember we covered his book, SASQUATCH, Legend Meets Science. Covered it a couple of years ago. Great book. It's a really good book. And just to preface this by saying, science was my background. I'm not, a lunatic. And I just remember people like Galileo and Copernicus and, you could list a huge string of scientists throughout history who have been vilified, marginalized, rejected, and sometimes even physically hurt. Because they were willing to entertain ideas that nobody else was willing to entertain. And as long as your ideas are backed up by some sort of study and evidence, and he was an ongoing, a work in progress. He started out being not in any way interested in the subject of cryptozoology. And as time went by, he did become more interested, and he was willing to listen to people. In his book, you discover he didn't just jump to conclusions. So let me give you a teeny tiny bit of background. Born May 24th, 1958 in Salt Lake City, Utah. He got his bachelor's in 1982 in zoology with a specialty in vertebrate locomotion. His specialty was bipedal locomotion. In other words, how animals, including humans, walked around on two legs. He got his master's in 84, his PhD in 89 from Stony Brook University in anatomical science with an emphasis in biological anthropology. He had the receipts, right? From 89 to 91, he did postdoctoral work at Duke University and spent a short time at Northwestern, but then he joined the faculty at Idaho State University in Pocatello, Idaho. He published a lot about vertebrate evolutionary morphology, how animals with a spine evolved, like physically, anatomically. How the emergence of bipedal locomotion in humans, how humans ended up walking upright on two legs. And the plausibility of Sasquatch, and this just could not be more controversial for a man of science. He wrote a whole series of books on paleontology. Now, he was an active Mormon, and we all know how I feel about organized religion. So the fact that I'm willing to entertain anything he has to say means something. But he died in September, and there's a question about whether it was September 9th or 10th, but suffice it to say, just last month in Pocatello, he got a fast-growing brain cancer and died, didn't linger very long. But he got international attention because of his interest in Bigfoot. He, after many years of being a doubting Thomas, as we read in his book, he became persuaded that something was going on. His research has been called pseudoscience, but like I said, Copernicus, Galileo. In 2006, he wrote this book, SASQUATCH, The Legend Meets Science. It was criticized, negatively criticized by the Skeptical Inquirer, and I'm going to give you a quote. They claimed that Dr. Meldrum was unable or unwilling to distinguish good research from bad, science from pseudoscience. In 2011, he attended a conference in Siberia about the Siberian snowman. I think it's important to know if this is something that you just kind of, shrug off. This is global, and there are contemporary stories, not just like folklore, mythology, contemporary stories of encounters with cryptoids, odd creatures. What are they? Nobody seems to know. I will say this one thing. He analyzed footprints, and he was kind of the world expert on being able to look at a footprint, a series of footprints, and tell you how tall, how heavy, how fast this creature was moving, what the muscles in that creature's body were shaped like in relationship to each other based on footprints, which is mind-boggling to me. I just can't even believe it. And he said that, he was willing to say it. At times he pointed out frauds, and he said, no, this is just people in the local area trying to drum up media attention. This is inexplicable, and it seems to be true. And he went out in the field. He didn't just sit home. It all began. His interest began. Not because he was seeking it. People came to him and said, look, you're the expert. Look what we found. Here are plaster casts of what we found. Here is fur, hair that we found. They actually sent DNA samples. There's a global DNA bank. And they sent DNA samples from what they found, and they got results back. This is not talked about too much. The results they got back in a nutshell were, what you have here is a primate closely related to humans, but so are chips and bonobos. Very closely related to humans, like in the high 90% sharing of genetics. But nothing that is in our DNA bank, we cannot tell you what it is you're looking at. It so far has not been analyzed in our DNA bank. Now, that's not to say they have every bit of DNA in the world. Of course not. But I do think it's interesting. And science, good science, demands an open mind. Not jumping to conclusions, asking for evidence, and keeping an open mind. And I admire the fact that he was willing to go public and have an open mind. That takes a certain amount of courage. I don't know. Let's quickly do just a couple of Lenormand cards on his field of study. Let's put it that way. Was this just all nonsense? Was there some legitimacy to it? Are we going to find out eventually? And there are a lot of questions. How come they never found a body? They got to die someplace, why have they never found a body? And never been able to get pictures. There are those who think they're somewhat related to something interdimensional too. That's all this about. Okay. The stars. There's something very otherworldly about this. We're going to find out. New information is going to come out. It's going to be a paradigm shifting bit of information, and it's going to have philosophical, theological impact. You saw me shuffle. Okay. wanted to honor him because I really enjoyed his work. I liked his book. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm willing to think about it. And I give him credit for being willing to think about it. So, Dr. Meldrum, RIP. Thank you for watching. Slongafoil. Slanja.